JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 26th of November 2021. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel. Just bear with me one moment. Where's that? There we go. So yeah, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to, and of course our JFD Bank's website, and specifically our JFD research page, which is also updated on a daily basis. So check us out here on jfdbank.com, and well, click on the research tab right there on the top. So now then, I can see in the chat room here, Vendetta. Yep, good morning to you too, and well, I always look at DAX, so it is in my list. So, but coming to the first instrument on my list, and that's Nikkei 225, as always. So overnight we saw a nice decline here, and well, it continued to drift lower and closed well in the negative territory. Now, of course, if you look at the headlines, I mean, the markets are concerned about the COVID issue. Again, I think that maybe this could be part of the normal kind of process of correcting lower now, because basically we did have quite a decent up move, especially in the other indices like the US ones and the European ones. So a bit of a retracement. What we're seeing right now is something healthy. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we've been in those kind of declines previously. However, what's going to be interesting to see how everything is going to, let's say, rebound after the little decline, and how far the rebound will be. But I'll get to that point a little bit later when I'm going to jump into DAX. Here, for example, Nikkei 225, it drifted lower. I mean, from the technical side, everything kind of worked out according to the plan here, because I've said that if it falls again below this 29,400 zone, then yes, we'll aim for the downside. But if you also remember yesterday, I was kind of giving you that little theory that basically we saw these situations happening where the index, for example, would drop and close below the 21-day EMA, but then the next day it would jump back above that 21-day EMA, and we've seen that happening a few times lately. The same happened this week as well. However, as always, I've mentioned as well that this is the barrier that I'm looking at for the upside, this 29,880. So I didn't get that. I instead kind of got a decline. So in a way, we have to adjust now towards slightly maybe lower levels. So looking at this picture here, you can see that yes, we fell below this 29,400 zone. We ended up testing this 29,000 zone as well, and well, we continued sliding and eventually ended up being below the 100-day EMA. So what's going to happen further, or what could happen further, is of course, looking at this picture, if we stay below that 100-day EMA or that 29,000 mark, then my next target is the 200-day EMA, and then, or in the area around that, and then yeah, we'll check what could happen further. But at the moment, guys, I mean, this is not really looking great here in the very short term. Need to kind of specify that, because again, don't it's not something to panic about, but yeah, we do have some of the upside lines still that could be valid. So in a way, if we're considering this right now as a temporary, as a correction, yep, it could be temporary because we are still trading above some of these upside lines. So that's why be very careful here. Do not over panic. For the upside, I still need to wait for that push above this barrier just to be a little bit more on the safe side. If it starts reversing back to the upside here, all this will be, to be honest, will be somewhat of a neutral one for me. So I just would be observing the price action. For now, I'm leaning a little bit towards the downside, but initially only towards that 200-day EMA. Evu, yep, good morning to you too. Shanghai Composite, very quickly on that one, and here you can see that the index also drifted lower, and well, I mean, if you remember, I talked about this and I said that keep your eyes on this upside line as well, and if it suddenly starts falling below that 3,553 territory, then we might see maybe a bit of a retracement. So the previous idea which I mentioned in terms of the range here, well, we just fell shy by a few points kind of from reaching it, and yeah, so it didn't really work out well here. So basically yeah, for now, I mean, we're seeing a nice good decline here. We broke this upside line. Let's see where this index is going to end today, because we still have a few minutes left of trading here. But yeah, at the moment, it's not really looking good here for the Shanghai Composite. So yep, let's see how far it can drift further. So for now, let me just double check something. If I'm not, I think I might be missing out here on something, but I think the Shanghai Composite is closed already. I think my head did not switch off to the new time here. Okay. Yes, I do apologize, guys. Do apologize for this. I mean, yes, that's where it kind of was weird for me a little bit. So the index is already closed. So, okay, that's quite interesting in that case. That means that we have kind of drifted lower. We kind of ended up here. Let me just quickly check the weekly chart here. Now these things do happen, so I do apologize, guys. I mean, this is my bad on this. I did think that it was still running, but okay. So we kind of ended up the week flat in that case. So that's quite interesting. And to be honest, although we broke this upside line here, we stayed slightly below it. I will take a very careful approach here, because again, I would like to see maybe a drop below this 3,553 territory in order to consider the downside here, or at least slightly lower levels. For the upside, well, I mean, in this here situation, if by any chance, I'll keep this upside line for now just to be a little bit more on the safe side. I mean, if it climbs back above it and stays above it, then yes, I'll aim for this barrier, the one that I keep on aiming for, this 3,615, and then we'll take it from there. So yeah, the index is closed, and so yeah, this was a little bit and my bad. Let's put it this way, guys. Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, very quickly on that one, so drifted nicely to the downside. We broke this highlighted territory. I spoke about this a lot, and well, we're now drifting towards this key support zone right here, or I should say two key support zones, the lowest point of September and the lowest point of October, and this is going to be my next area target, as long as we stay below this highlighted territory. If we do jump back above it, then I'll aim for this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 26th of October, and then we will take it from there. For now, like I said, it's not really looking good here, and well, I mean, it could continue drifting towards these two levels, the 23,770 or the 23,680 territory. Now the German index, DAX. Here we have a we have a situation where the index basically sold off heavily, and you can basically, sorry, not sold, didn't sell off heavily, but if we look at the cash index, then yes, it did sell off heavily. So basically, long story short, yesterday the index traded kind of neutral, I would say, kind of remained flat below this 21-day EMA, and this is what I talked about. If you remember, I said that if it stays below this downside line and stays below the 21-day EMA, there is still a potential for this one to move lower. And well, if we look at a cash index, basically that's it has followed the Asian markets, and we are now below this even hurdle, this 15,792 zone. But probably a few adjustments have to be made here. This level probably won't be valid anymore. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick to this little hurdle, this 15,690 zone, and then I'm gonna aim for this 15,495. To be honest, we are very not far from there, and I think that the cash index already did test that area. Just we're seeing now a slight little rebound. So basically, we will have a beautiful, beautiful gap here to the downside, guys. So prepare for that. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, a bit of retracement. That's what probably everybody would be hoping for. However, let's have a look at the broader picture here and try to see if we can squeeze something out of this. Now, if we draw, and we will start probably drawing here a bunch of tentative upside lines, basically this is where the emotions can start kicking in, and you know, you could start seeing things where they're not. But let's say one of those support lines that I could keep an eye on, this is this one, taken from the low of the 11th of December of 2020. We do have kind of 3 touches here, so that kind of helps out here a little bit. We do have another tentative upside line, a long-term upside support line right here, which could also be quite useful, and this one's taken from the low of the 30th of October of 2020. So these 2 long-term upside lines could be quite useful because I think my screen has died a little bit on me. So, so basically, long story short, guys, for now, looking at this picture, that's what I'm going to stick to. And basically, for now, it seems that we could continue drifting lower because we are currently looking at the cash index. We're just rebounding from this territory here, this low of the 29th of October, and but we're below the 100-day EMA. So even if we do retrace, let's say largely here, if we stay below this 100-day EMA, then another slide could be possible. So currently, if I'll draw a line, an arrow from here, because that's where the cash index did test, so something like this could be possible. Keep that in mind. So we could see a retracement here. We could see a drop, nice drop lower. And then if it stays below this 100-day EMA, then another slide could be possible. If it climbs back above this 21-day EMA, now for me, this is one of those situations where basically it could be a little bit difficult here because in terms of, let's say, looking at the downside again, because let's put it this way, if we do see, first of all, we'll see this nice little drop, well, not little, but nice drop to the downside. We'll see a nice little rebound here. If it continues to rebound, this would be like a straight V-form recovery, and that means that maybe the bulls are not really willing to give up yet, and maybe this downside line will eventually not be something that we will have to kind of keep an eye on too much, because then it'll just get violated and then we'll just climb higher. So again, be careful with that. For now, yes, we're seeing a slight little rebound on the cash index, but we have dropped quite significantly. If we do slide again, my next target is this upside support line taken from the low of the 30th of October of 2020. DXY, the dollar index. So yesterday kind of remained flat, and look at this. I mean, we've broken the upside line here, and we're currently trading below it. So what to expect further? Now, okay, this one, well, with this one, it's is always a little bit tricky and a little bit difficult. And yeah, for now, from the technical side, yes, it seems to be willing to go for maybe a little bit of a retracement. However, as I mentioned before, if you're looking for maybe a larger correction here to the downside, then wait at least for maybe a drop below this 96.24 territory, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. But yeah, if it, let's say, retraces somewhat, but then finds support somewhere around here, well, maybe that won't really work well for these sellers, and maybe we'd see a nice rebound here and a push back to the upside. Gold, and gold is playing the role of safe haven, and yep, it's seeing a nice little rebound here. However, if you remember this week, when I talked about gold, I said that yes, we might see a nice little rebound here, but if it, let's say remains somewhere below this 21-day EMA, below this 1814 level, maybe a nice decline again could be possible, and maybe, just maybe, again, there's a lot of maybes here for me today. Maybe we could see this one as a double, as a head and shoulders pattern, with the neckline being this line right here. However, again, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. So for now, let's yes, we are pushing back above that 1800 level, so that's great news for the buyers. We could go a little bit higher here, like I said, towards that 1814 zone or the 21-day EMA. If it holds somewhere here, and then yeah, if it fails to move strongly above it, then another slide could be possible. Quick update on WTI oil, beautiful decline. So this is what I talked about yesterday, guys, because when I removed the downside line, I said that in a way the downside line got violated. So but if the commodity continues to trade below that 21-day EMA, then, well, another slide could be possible here. And, well, this is what we're getting right now. So we're getting that drift lower. We're almost testing that 21-day EMA now. If you're looking for some further downside, then wait for a drop below this 74.79 zone. Now, again, I do understand that we have already made quite a decent move to the downside here. However, today's Friday, and don't forget that oil does sometimes make good moves on Fridays at the end of the week, and well, so don't really get caught out. So if you're looking maybe to counter trade this one, although it looks tentative, maybe you're looking for some, maybe capturing somewhat like a few points here, just, for you that's enough. I would say be very careful, because again, in these situations here, sometimes yeah, it just goes one way for the whole Friday, and that's why be very careful with that. So for now, I would say I would exclude any kind of idea of maybe let's say going for the buy side here, because again, it's Friday, and we do have these strong drops on Fridays sometimes. So however, for me to look at further declines, yes, I need to see a drop below that 74.79 zone. Now jumping into Ripple. Ripple is let me actually refresh this chart, or actually no. No, that's fine. I will keep this upside line because that's what we broke. It's okay, so it's all fine. So good news in a way for the sellers, could be. We are now trading near this key support zone, roughly around that 1.0170 territory. Now, of course, from the kind of shorter term perspective, you could say maybe we're forming somewhat of a let me just remove this basically very quickly. Maybe we're forming somewhat of a descending triangle pattern here, and according to all the TA rules, these tend to break to the downside. So it's not an ideal line here. I get that we kind of missing out on a few lines here, but anyway, so yeah, could be the case. If that's the case, then yes, wait for a drop below that 1.0170 territory. If we do drop that, always be very careful, because we might see a little bit of a rebound afterwards, and maybe it could take out a lot of traders. So have your stop loss in place. I think I'm running out of time, so I need to jump into the pairs very quickly, guys. So ADJPY. So of course, yen buying, and this is what I said to you guys in a few videos recently that if the indices start reversing, yen buying might resume, and well, of course, this is what we're getting right now. So we saw then those steep declines, and everybody's jumping into the yen right now as a safe haven, and well, that's the effect that we're getting. From the technical side, we have this downside line here on AUD/JPY. We dropped below that 82.16 territory, so we confirmed a new low for November. We dropped below the 200-day EMA as well, and well, I mean, that's my big question now. Will we stay below it? Again, given that we already had a decent decline here quite early, I mean, for me, I'm just going to observe this one because I don't want to kind of mess around with it, and especially in the situation when the markets now are starting to decline. And if this is going to be the case, maybe, just maybe, we could see a falling channel, or maybe we could see a falling wedge eventually. So if that's a falling channel, then yes, of course, it could continue drifting lower. If it's a falling wedge, yes, it could also continue drifting lower. However, it has potential to break out to the upside later on. So I'll keep this the scenario as a falling wedge for now, just because the way the line here kind of plays out. Let's see if that's going to play out or not, but even so, even if it is a falling wedge, and of course, according to all the TA rules, these tend to break to the upside. Before you could do anything, I mean, before it breaks actually the upper side of this this formation, you cannot really get comfortable with the upside, because it could still continue moving sideways here, or kind of slightly on a decline. USD/JPY, also interesting situation here. So yep, yen buying is resumed, and there we go. So we're drifting lower. However, we do have a bunch of these tentative upside lines, which could still provide support. So for now, I'm aiming for that 21-day EMA for this upside support line drawn from the low of the 22nd of September. And if we do halt here somewhere, then we might see a nice little rebound and a push maybe back to the upside. Oh, by the way, if you remember, I talked about this little hurdle here, this 115.24 zone. And there we go. We dropped below it. Beautiful kind of breakout point here, and yep, looking nicely here to the downside. So for now, I'm aiming for this upside line for this 21-day EMA, and then we'll take it from there. USD CAD. So drifting higher. So again, here it's a little bit of a different story. There the leader is the yen. Here the leader is the US dollar. Although it's not really performing quite well, it's just mainly for falling value of Canadian dollar due to falling oil prices. So for now, I'm aiming for that 1.2775 territory. I was looking at that level for quite a while now. So yep, let's see if we can reach that. However, let me just draw something else here as well and see if this is going to work, kind of have any significance or not. Okay. So, right, this seems to be quite interesting. So basically, this level comes almost perfectly in line with this downside line taken from the low of the 20th of August, and yeah, so quite interesting. So very good potential target here. Let's see if we can reach that. GBP/CHF. So beautiful drop, and if you remember a while ago, I talked about this falling channel pattern, which so far seems to be working out. So yeah. Looking at this picture here, I mean, it seems that we are still moving nicely to the downside overall. So the 200-day EMA provided good resistance, and yep, the pair is now continuing to slide here. And let's see if we can actually end up now again testing the lower side of the falling channel here. For now, I'm gonna stick to this idea, and well, for now, as long as it stays, for example, from the short-term perspective, as long as it stays below this 1.24 territory somewhere around here, I will continue aiming lower. Euro Aussie, so beautiful jump here, and yep, we had a nice beautiful push to the upside, so everything's very, very beautiful. So Okay, looking at this picture, yes, we are climbing higher. We're forming some higher lows. I can see that. We can also draw this upside line here, taken from the low, the 1st of November. However, we will be very careful near this downside line, taken from the high of the 20th of August. So, long story short, we are now trading above the highest point of November, or should I say previous highest point of November. But look at how the 100-day EMA did its job and provided resistance. Now, if we do pop above it, then my next target, like I said, is this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 20th of August. EuroCAD, okay, a huge mess here. I mean, talk about the roller coaster ride. Well, for now, I would say yes, we broke the downside line again. Can we stay above it? I mean, again, I'm just looking at the same scenario that we had here on Tuesday, and yeah, Tuesday. So at the moment, yes, we're testing that 21-day EMA again. Can we stay above this downside line? Because on Tuesday we were also nicely, comfortably sitting already above this downside line, and we were very close to this barrier here, this 1.4358. To be honest, I'll stick to the same barrier because again, it did provide strong resistance, and if we do pop above it, then I'll aim for the upside, and my next target then could be this the highest point of November, the current highest point of November, near the 1.4463. And then, of course, so on and so on and so on. We'll go for other levels, but only if we do stay above this downside line. If we drift back below it by the end of the day, well, I mean, back to the drawing board. Euro USD. Euro USD is trying to do something here. I mean, it's pushing higher today. Again, we're now trading above this downside line, so everything's kind of seems to be on the positive side, but can we actually climb above this 1.1255 territory? Now that's what I'm looking for, because yes, we are trading above this downside line. Okay, that's fine. I mean, of course, this increases the chances for a higher move later on, maybe, but still, just for that extra confirmation, a push above that 1.1255 territory would be needed, and then yes, we will take it from there. Now, if we're looking at the downside here, now I would like to remove this downside line for now, but yeah, I'll keep it. I'll keep it for a while. But yeah, if we're looking for some downside, rather wait for a drop below this little territory right here, the current lowest point of November, near the 1.1186 zone, and then yeah, we could go for a lower low, and yep, could be interesting for to examine lower levels. But at the moment, guys, I mean, it's looking quite interesting, to be honest, for the buyers. It could be looking quite interesting for the buyers. Can we overcome this 1.12 and 55 territory and stay above it? Well, let's wait and see. If you do like this scenario already, let's say that to go higher from here, well, I would say have your stop loss in place in that case, just in case this suddenly reverses sharply to the downside, and well, and takes you out. So rather protect ourselves, and then we can go slowly on this one. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you joining in this whole week, guys. Thank you very much for that. If you want to catch me on Monday, as always, at my Traders Espresso, 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, guys, have your stop losses in place. Don't overtrade. It's Friday. And yeah, everything will be fine. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.